Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
How was your weekend, Kate?
It was good. It was, oh, look at the little floofy tail.
Ugh.
It was, pretty relaxing. Had good weather, just hung around, did
Did
this.
you do gardening?
I did gardening. Oh my God, my garden is looking so good.
It is. How many years have you been working on this now?
5. I mean, like,
Yeah.
well, we moved in 5 years ago, and I liked to garden even before that, but the last,
Yeah, you did, Kate. Yeah, you did.
well, not really that. But, like, the last people who lived here, he put in these huge gardens, but it was just kind of I've had to redo everything. I don't even know how much square footage it is, but it's, like, a
You have
lot of
you have
gardens.
you have a lot of property for someone who lives in quite near a city.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how the suburbs are. It's
Like
not, like, a
Emily,
lot
that's
of
what a suburb
property.
is, Emily.
But
I've never lived in a real suburb, so I don't really know. I've only lived like
yeah.
in a city or in the country.
I mean, our lot is probably, like, half an acre. It's, like,
Is it
I
really?
feel like pretty standard, but I bet at least half of the grass area is
Mm,
garden. So it's,
yeah.
like, a lot of garden.
You have a lot of hostas. You love a
Yeah.
hosta.
Well, and I keep trying to thin those damn things out, and they just, like, keep coming back
I need
stronger than ever.
I need you to come here because I swear to God, I'm a hosta murderer. I'm like a mass murderer.
That's crazy. I don't.
So many have died in my yard, and I've given up. Maybe. Well, my neighbor Janice, who I'm positive doesn't know how to listen to this podcast, and I have been at war over a tree for about a decade. And there is a mulberry tree in my yard that it's a tree, so it doesn't respect boundaries. And so it was half over her yard. And she has wanted me to cut it down because she doesn't like that the mulberries fall on her patio and she has to clean them. And
I
so a
mean,
couple years ago, I know, I'm like, well,
that's kind of
I
valid.
well, I don't know, is it? You want to cut down a 50-year-old tree? Um, and so she did 3 years ago, well, 2023, cut all of the branches that were over her yard, like literally half. She just like shored half of the tree off, and it then has like now shoots of sunlight that come through my yard. So I have dead
Mm.
patches of my shade garden where from Janice. And yeah, we recently had a redux of this fight in which I have won. She had a series of arborists come to our property because she was convinced that they would say the tree was unhealthy and needed to be cut down. And in fact, all the arborists were like, the tree is fine.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, that's what's been going on
Janice.
with
I mean,
me.
come on. So how has she lived there for a very long time?
Yeah, she's lived here. She's probably lived in that house for over 50 years. She's retired. She has nothing else to do.
Can we get into the like NIMBY conversation a little bit?
Yeah, so NIMBY is not in my backyard. And the corollary to NIMBY is a YIMBY, a yes in my backyard. And it is something that's like often discussed when we talk about housing policy. So are you going to allow duplexes? Are you going to allow homeless shelters? You know, all the different
Data centers.
data center. Oh, data centers, Catherine? And Janice is a NIMBY. I think she's a classic case of NIMBY. And including trees, apparently, which is not very NIMBY of her. Feels like you should like a tree if you're a NIMBY.
I think something I'm realizing is that actually, and I don't know her political affiliations or anything like that, but it just reminded me people are so particular about the things that affect their house and where they live, you know? And it's like, Janice, girl, you're living in Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C.
We're living in Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. We're living downtown, and we have trees in our backyard?
Yeah.
And
It's
you
like
want to get rid of them? Are you bananas?
the people
Like,
who live around other people but don't want any sign of other humans. It's like, okay, we need to talk about this because you can go live in the country.
well, and she wants to control my behavior, right? Like, I think that is the
Oh,
thing,
this goes
right? Like,
deeper.
Janice has had to be blocked from my phone and emails because she had too many opinions on what I should be doing in my home. And I was like, I can't take you anymore. Like, they would comment about my lights and, be like, you need to turn off your lights in your house. And I'd be like, actually, I don't.
My
Like, I'm
God.
I'm working late, girlies. She's like, "It's on my patio." And I'd be like, "Okay." But data centers. Let's just get into it. I was going to tell you about how I did gardening. I had a parlay into how I did gardening this weekend. And then I was going to be like, marijuana, Mary Jane, because I'm a cool kid now. And I had the whims again. But I was like, oh, it's not basily enough. And this doesn't affect me. So then I put a second one.
Oh, no. How
It's like,
many milligrams?
they're each 4. So that was, I don't know. So that was
I mean,
8
would
THC,
definitely
8
put me to sleep.
CBD. Yeah. So Saturday night, I conked so hard.
Yeah.
Just slept for like 12 hours.
That's nice, though. I slept for like 8 hours this weekend, and it was, sometimes you just need that.
You need sleep.
Thank you, Wims.
People ask
for
me my
letting
beauty
Emily sleep.
secrets, and I'm like, it's the sleep and the butter.
That's nice, though. I slept for like 8 hours this weekend, and it was, sometimes you just need that.
You need sleep.
Thank you, Wims.
People ask
for
me my
letting
beauty
Emily
secrets,
sleep.
and I'm like, it's the sleep and the butter. It's also the Botox.
I'm going to like pop my Botox cherry here pretty soon.
You've been talking about this for about 3 years.
I know. And if anybody cares, it's not like I've been avoiding it because I'm trying to
No, you
I'm
just-
just lazy
you
and
just
have not
can't
made
make
an appointment.
Yeah, but you also like can't make decisions. It took like how many years for you to decide to get your eyebrows laminated?
I actually can make decisions. That's not about decision making. That's
Okay.
just also just about laziness. Like, I don't really
Okay.
care what my eyebrows look like, or I didn't until then I finally got them done. I'm like, oh shit, this is why people get their eyebrows done.
Right. You are correct. Decision isn't the right word. It's just like you don't care enough to get it done.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
now I'm just, I'm going to be 40 next year. Now
Oh,
that I have
such
this
a
very
baby.
nice lens and everything is getting more and more HD, and I'm on camera with all these Botox bitches all the time whose face doesn't move and mine is like all over the place. I'm like, okay, and it's time. Let's
you know what,
go.
Kate, I think about a lot on our
What?
first episode when we discussed how this is called Actually Pod with Emily and Kate, and you said, yeah, because Emily's older. And I was like, that was such unnecessary.
For anybody who watches visually on YouTube or the clips, you would not know. Because Kate
Such
is
an
looking...
unnecessary dig to remind everyone that I'm the older sister.
Yeah, well, then we got Gravity to remind everybody where Kate is at. So we need to.
I've got
we
the
need to backtrack.
FDA-approved clinical maximum of Botox put in my face every 3 months.
I am just though I am nervous because I already have like a low brow and hooded eyes, so I just need to make sure that it's not that nobody makes that worse.
When I started getting the Botox, because I get it for migraine, so like they put a lot in my forehead, obviously, because that's where all the nerves are. And my eyebrows dropped enough that I had to change my makeup routine. And like I've done the same eye makeup since I was 15 years old. There's like I don't follow trends. I just do the one thing. And that's what I do. And then like I lost all the space for my shadow, and I was like, oh shit, what do I do?
Yeah, I will panic if that happens to me.
I would like my eyebrows to be slightly higher.
I would like
that.
a facelift.
Yeah.
And an upper bluff.
But I think that the bluffs don't always look good.
They don't
Like
always
a lot
look
of
good
these
because
surgeries.
a lot of people are getting them now that don't need them. However, I do feel like I need it. But we'll see. If anybody here from like the Freidert aesthetics clinic is listening, let me know. I'm happy to come in.
Any of our 7 listeners.
Actually, we have like 60 reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Oh my God, thank you guys.
And those are
I
just
love
people
you.
who've done 5-star reviews. So if you're listening to this, I know, this one will take off. We're a little boring so far, but please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the pod.
Yeah, one of the things about us is we don't do the things that the other influencers do, which is like constantly tell you like, share, subscribe, and sell you things, because we don't like consuming that content because it's annoying. But a lot of people don't mind consuming that content and are not us.
I know. I just like refuse to be insufferable. And
Me
have we
too.
paid the price? Yes.
Yes.
Are we blacklisted from some shit? Yes.
Yes.
But you know what? We have our communities and each other and
And our pride, Kate, and our pride.
and our pride.
And our pride.
And our pride. But you know what, guys? Like, I do feel like I still continue, I'm doing it the old school way. I like still make relationships with people and I try to show up and be dependable and normal. And that has worked out too in the long run. So it's all going to be good.
I think that, like, I have a community that likes me enough that they have tolerated me dying for, like, multiple years now, and
Yeah,
what
that
a
was if you hung on,
if
if you're
you
still following Emily after like quarter four, quarter three, quarter four, 2024, you are a real one.
no kidding, you stuck through it, man. There was some bad there was some bad times, but, but they stuck through it, so I'll come back to it. I will say, like, I don't think the vibes on the internet are not good right now.
No.
No,
They
and
are actually, I know everybody wants to hate, like, is gonna hate this, but the vibes are better in real life than on the internet.
much better. Yes, 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 yes. I think that, like, especially in political content creation, there's there's now sort of like a critical mass of political content creators, and
Yeah.
they've all started going off of each other. And it's there needs some time for, like, the environment to reach homeostasis. Is that the
Mhm.
word? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, we need environmental balance, and it's currently quite unbalanced. I downloaded Threads this morning to, like, see what was up
Oh,
to
no.
prep for this,
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, what, everyone's fighting about things, and I'm like, no, we have very, very serious issues in this country. There are things to fight about.
I know, I am getting really sick of just, like, being mad at Dems all the time and all this stuff. It's like, "Guys, we gotta, like, focus here. We have bigger fish to fry, okay?"
Really big problems.
Um And yeah, but for people who don't know, I mean, well, and a lot of these political content creators have come or came in like really with Kamala, right? Like
Yeah, for
2024.
sure.
So they're probably getting to the point of their first major burnout.
Yes,
Like
that's right.
it's
That's right.
very difficult work. It's 24/7. It is competitive also. Like you're friends with these people. There's not really playbook, but also you're kind of competing against each other for access or uh like contacts or
Very,
things like
very
that.
limited amounts of money.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they're really the fucking
And
money is
it's
seems to be gone.
I think what is weird about the job, and, like, I've had a lot of very competitive jobs in very competitive environments,
Yeah,
but
she's like a international terrorism attorney or something.
just I mean, and so, you know, but the thing is, you don't it's like sort of dystopian where the people who are your professional colleagues slash competition, you see their numbers, right? Like, you see their follower count, their viewer numbers, and all of this stuff. And so it's very in your face. And I guess maybe it's more like team sports or something. And I'm not a competitive person and I don't like it.
Me
I think some
neither.
people are motivated by it. I am disincentivized by it. I'm like, oh, I don't like competing.
Same. I have always been like that. I'm not like I'm never going to be a realtor. I'm not going to like I'm yeah, I don't like it.
Wait, did you say you're never gonna be a realtor?
Yeah, there's just certain jobs where like people who are competitive do really well cuz
I
they're
think
almost,
I
you know what
see
I
what you're
mean?
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also never gonna be a realtor.
Or like anything sales, I guess, where like people are really driven by money and getting like, you know, do you ever watch like all the shows on Bravo? Those
Yeah,
people are just so competitive and they're really good
right.
at negotiating. I think we should get like Josh Altman and Josh Flagg into some of the political conversations and help negotiate some of this shit. But yeah, that's like not me.
Or like CrossFit, where you just, like, create arbitrary competitions and that motivates you. And I'm just like, "Well, kids
No.
are dying,
I don't
Kim."
like being yelled at. Tough love
No,
is
I
not for
absolutely
me.
don't
It's
like being
never
yelled
going to
at.
work. I need to be persuaded gently and over time and carefully
Uh-huh.
into something where I finally feel like it's my idea.
Kate, thank you so much for coming up with this podcast. That was such a great idea you had.
Wait, this is your idea, right?
No, honey, it's your idea. Um, I wanna
Oh,
talk. What?
real quick, can we just go back to the NIMBY and the data center stuff? Well, let's
Yeah,
circle back on this.
circle back.
We haven't talked about this. It is all anybody is talking about here. And when I say anybody, I mean people in real life, people on the internet, voters, constituents, normies.
And you've been out and about talking to the people.
Yeah, and I've
recently.
been talking about this for a while because, like, a
Yes, you
year
have.
ago, I went down a rabbit hole, one of my famous rabbit holes, and I'm like, "Why is nobody talking about this?" Especially, like, where are the Democrats on
Like,
this? They're
Kate when Kate goes down a rabbit hole, it is the only time I'm receiving text messages at, like, 2 a.m., and Kate, queen of not texting back, is like, "Text, text, 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 text." I'm like, "Ooh, we're down one. We're in a little
Yeah,
rabbit hole here." Continue.
and so, there's a lot of data centers being built in the Midwest. They need to be cooled, so it's colder here, there's access to all the fresh
Okay.
water, yada, yada, and I'm like, why aren't any of the Democrats, like, talking shit about this, whatever?
And so
Uh
explain to the people why we hate data centers.
Okay. I've done an arc with this because I've been looking at it for so long. I needed more context to understand, like, the real problem. There's a bunch of issues with data centers. First of all, a lot of the agreements are happening behind closed doors with NDAs, and the city councils or common councils or whatever are having conversations with these huge tech companies, but it's actually usually a shell company. So it'll be like some random consultants, and you don't really know who's going to be there until, like, everything's signed, the deal's done, and it's like, oh, it's Meta or it's Microsoft or whatever, which I think is, like, worth knowing ahead of time.
So these city councils are penning these deals with data centers where they're
Hmm.
giving them things. They're giving them tax abatements. They're giving them incentives to come to their town under the idea of you're going to bring jobs and you're going to help the economy. And maybe there's some kickbacks. Who knows?
Yes, but
Um,
actually, the tax incentives and stuff were approved on the state level by the
okay.
legislature and the governor as part of the budget a couple years ago, which a lot of Democrats voted for because it is economic development, right? It is the state's job to protect its people, but also bring new economic opportunities there because any politician wants to have more access to jobs, better paying jobs, union jobs, especially. These are all
But are
things that
there
are,
really jobs? Because isn't that part of it? Then it turns out with the data centers, there's not that many jobs.
there are construction jobs which last a few years and most are union, which is
Okay.
good. Um,
Initially there'll be jobs, but then long
Initially there
term,
are jobs, and this is where my ears started going up because it's like, and they think that it'll be this economic boom while they're being built, and I'm like, these people are working like 12-hour days sometimes. Like, what are they, like, going out on the town and really spending that much money where they're stationed? Um, but these huge data centers, this is just how politics works, right? The bigger the company, the bigger the incentives, the tax breaks, which is our tax dollars giving billion, trillion-dollar companies discounts,
yeah.
basically.
Hmm.
And what are we getting in return? And here in Wisconsin, we have the whole Foxconn ordeal, which was like a huge thing.
Never forget.
Never forget. Where they just, like, we gave them almost $3 billion worth of taxpayer money to incentivize them and give them tax breaks. They started building. They bought up, like, almost, I don't know the exact number, but I want to say, like, tens of family farms that have been there for generations to build this. They started building it. We gave them money for infrastructure to build all these new roads. And then they just
Mhm,
packed up and left. They're like,
mhm.
yeah, we're over it.
Actually,
And we just got screwed and we had to fight our way back from that.
mhm,
So everybody here is very, like, it's giving Foxconn, you
mhm.
know? And I
Fool
would have
us
loved if the
once, shame
politicians
on
would have
you.
gotten ahead of that a little bit and then understood that, yeah, of course that's going to happen. So data centers themselves, it's like there
But Kate,
are,
wait. But then the other reason that people hate data centers is because they are noisy and ugly and take up community space and they are bad for the environment, which there's a couple vocal members in my audience who like really think that's the problem. I'm like, I don't actually think most people think that's the problem. I think most people don't like having one in their neighborhood, but that's here nor
yeah,
there.
I mean, I'm not sure what it does to the property value or based on, like,
I
how
mean,
close you
I
live.
I can imagine if you're living across the street or a couple blocks away from a data center and it's buzzing all the time, that would hurt your property value.
Yeah, and the problem is we don't really know what that's gonna be like. They're all, like, kinda so new and they're just, like, so fast. That's why people are really uneasy about it. And then the other thing, I was talking to some guy last week who's been really engaged in a lot of this work and has worked with both Republicans and Democrats. And he's like, the other problem is construction, right? It takes 3 years sometimes to build these things. and there's constant construction noise, there's dust everywhere. He's like, if you just had a baby and you're hoping you're staying home with them for 3 years, that's your like 3 years of your child's life that's dusty and noisy and you can't be outside with them. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's a really good point too. Like, even though we just say it's temporary, I mean, to people who just live places, that's not temporary, you know?
Mhm.
But I think it's gonna be the trickiest thing this cycle and maybe next cycle for people to really figure out how to talk about it. Cause I do think there's a lot of fear mongering, which brings me back to like the NIMBYism. I think like there's always gonna be new stuff built, right? And this technology is necessary based on how we live our lives. Um, I think people are just like, can we pump the brakes for a second? Like, can we have more community input? Can we figure this out? And that doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, these companies control our society and they are just on a train, just roaring down the tracks.
Yeah, and I'm just looking, the money coming from the tech companies is also going to be start flowing into politics at unprecedented levels. And I'm looking in, one New York City race, people are saying it's a proxy war for AI, and
Is
groups
that the
tied to,
13?
yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that's New York 13. And groups linked to Silicon Valley rivals OpenAI and Anthropic have already spent more than $16 million in the race. And this is a primary. Of
Yeah.
course, the primary is the general, but these companies have gargantuan sums of money. So I also think, and historically, they've sort of believed that they could just buy their way to political success, and that hasn't
Because
worked.
historically they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think historically moneyed interests have. I'm not sure the tech industry has been wholly successful, right? Like
Yeah,
they've had.
no, I just meant like those bigger companies in general. Because as I was going down that rabbit hole and I'm looking like at the finance reports, I'm looking at like, you know, our governor had made a task force on AI a few years ago, and I'm looking at who the task force is. Oh, there's a couple guys from Microsoft on there. Then I'm looking at the lobbying reports. Oh, Microsoft has been lobbying inside the Capitol here in Madison for a few
Mhm.
years. You know what I mean? And that's how it
So,
works.
well, and I think that that's a different type of money, right? Like that's not the money. When we talk about money, we are usually talking about PAC spending, sending out mailers and elections and things like that. What you're talking about is like political infrastructure and is something that I think is much more insidious. And that is like
Mhm.
paying lobbyists, paying people to do labor. And actually labor and expertise has value, right? Like they hire the most experienced government affairs people. They pull people out. I mean, for a long time, one of the best jobs in Washington was working for pharma, and the way to get, which is the pharmaceutical lobbying company, could get paid like a seven-figure salary to be on their government affairs. I heard this was the rumor, allegedly. And what you would want to do, though, is you'd want to get like a good committee position, be against them, and then they'd poach you off. This was the rumor that I always heard, right? Like you'd want to get poached. They'd be taking people off the chessboard. And like these big money orgs have enough money to do that. They have enough money to stack the ranks. So I think that the thing is these AI tech companies, they sort of tried to do an end run around it and they didn't build out the infrastructure and didn't have those relationships, and they're having to do that more. I will say, you see like the Zuckerbergs and the Musks, what they're doing with the Trump administration, they are building those relationships and they
Mhm.
are investing massive, massive, massive sums of money.
Yeah, I mean, most of the tech billionaires are the ones who, well, they all donated to the like inaugural fund. We all saw them front row at Trump's inauguration. They were all the ones who were donating to the ballroom, which wasn't going to use any taxpayer dollars, but now allegedly is, which is another story. But yeah, they're clearly, it's very concerning. I don't even
Um,
know what to say besides that.
I mean, I'll end it, and then I want to change the topic from the ballroom to the reflection pool. But I'll say that like fundamentally, the only countervailing force is people volunteering their time to become politically engaged, right? And like, unfortunately, that's not a very fun solution. And it's
But it
like it's what
works.
you do. It's what you are doing, Kate. It's like you are.
Well, and we've seen a lot of that here in Wisconsin. There's been a
Yes.
lot of organizing going on around
Yes.
data centers and communities have been successfully pushing back.
Right.
People like Microsoft have been pulling out because there's so much community pushback. They're just like, screw it, we'll go somewhere else.
Right.
And I mean, it is kind of like whack-a-mole. They're going to like pop up somewhere else. But that alone is such a great case for just showing up and getting involved because you can make a change immediately.
100%. And it is whack-a-mole, and they will keep coming back. And I think one of the things about civic engagement is like it's never going to end, right? Like you have to go into it
I
with the attitude that
know.
it's like, what?
It's never fixed.
It's no, there's always going to be either this bad guy or another bad guy. And so you just like, you have to have a sustainable effort. And, with the Trump of it all, things are sort of existential at the moment. But once we don't have Trump, we'll have someone else.
Yeah.
There's always someone.
Yeah. That's why,
Microsoft
like,
will always exist.
you have to find ways, like you said, to be sustainably incorporate it into your life. And that doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. You can take breaks. You should take breaks. But like, it should be a thing that's just like in your life rotation,
It's why, some of us have to make choices like that. We have to constantly delete the Threads app from our phone so we can stay sustainably involved. You know what I mean?
We're all just trying to stay sane out here, okay?
Just trying to make it through. I want to talk about the reflection pool.
Yes.
Oh my God, Kate, do you not know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I was like, am I going to get to share this information with you? So you guys, Donald Trump originally said he was going to spend $1 million renovating the reflection pool. And then he was like, oopsie, I meant 15 million. And I'm going to hire a guy who looks suspiciously like the Hamburglar, who is a Mar-a-Lago neighbor who has 2 convictions for like bribery of public officials. Like, could not be a worse story. And you know what I mean?
And
but her emails.
He awarded him a no bid contract, right?
No bid contract against, the Park Service and all of these people's way of doing things. Turns out there was probably a reason why the Park Service and all of those people had their own ideas, which is that it didn't work. This whole thing failed. And so they started getting these algae blooms, and then they sent some people with hydrogen peroxide over to try to kill the algae. And then the hydrogen peroxide made the
literally
paint
they were just pouring it in bottles.
Right, like they went to Costco and like bought some hydrogen peroxide, and that then made the paint off of the bottom start peeling off. This whole thing that he painted the thing blue, and it looked the fucking same anyhow. Like the whole thing was ridiculous. And then now this weekend, everyone's going and making fun of him, taking photos, and you can like touch the paint peeling off. Then apparently a bunch of people got arrested this weekend for like taking photos and like taking a piece of the paint that's floating on the surface. It's like a banana. What, are we living in a banana republic? What is happening?
And did you see the baby duck that's dead? Yeah.
No.
There was a baby duck floating that like died from all the chemicals and stuff they put in there, allegedly.
Allegedly, a baby duck got killed.
Well, there is a photo of the dead baby duck in the pool that has been making a lot of rounds.
Reflection pool, baby duck.
Yeah, I thought Trump was the one who hated windmills because they're killing birds. Well, now he's killing them.
Cause of death unclear, according to Newsweek.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything, but it could also be all of the chemicals they're putting in.
Sad.
I know, it's very sad. It is very sad. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the displaced animals with the data centers. But like, I mean, that is a visual representation that is just so sad. Nobody can look at a picture of a baby duck that's dead in the pool and be like, it's just like, God damn it,
Well, and then they have pictures of the mama duck and her ducklings on the prior days in the pool.
No.
I know.
I didn't see those.
Poor baby
I can't take it.
The whole thing is such a fiasco, and
the incompetence is just infuriating.
And it's our taxpayer dollars, and I love to talk about Iran and how it's like wild to me that Trump and Vance we're literally losing war against Iran, and we are the world's like greatest superpower that has ever existed in the history of humanity, and we're losing a war. It's really bad.
We're losing a war. We're losing our ass because we're losing all our money. We're losing
everyone's fucking
lives.
miserable. The vibes are terrible.
I
Um,
mean, nobody likes the war. Like, the polling on this is terrible. Like, even
Terrible.
I
Well,
mean, there's polling and then there's talking to people. Like, everybody is like, "What are we doing?"
so I thought it was really interesting. I was listening to the Daily, and they did a thing on the, you know, peace treaty we have with Iran, whatever, the ceasefire deal, I think is the terms. And one of the things they said is that like it became pretty clear that the reason Trump has negotiated this is because he does not want to send America into a recession, and he has said out loud things that indicate that the essentially Iran's plan of economic warfare of closing the Strait of Hormuz worked. And the reason he folded and agreed to this ceasefire is because he is scared of sending America into a recession. He doesn't want to be a president that does that. And I'm like, wow, wild.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's all he's ever cared about is, like, looking rich, seeming
Yeah,
rich.
yeah,
So, like, I think
you're
the
right.
only thing he actually would back out of and care about is, like, looking incompetent over financial decisions that impact everybody.
Right, right. And it's not the small thing. It's not the cost. He doesn't care about the cost of eggs. But like the
No,
stock market crashing would make him a president. That would be his legacy.
because then that's when his
I,
millionaire and billionaire friends are calling him up. They are
right,
the ones getting screwed first. I mean, not screwed, you know what I mean? Like, they're not
right.
really
They're
screwed,
not
but
going
they're losing
hungry.
gobs of
But
money.
right. Can I change the topic for a second to something else I've been really
Please.
thinking about a lot? Like
Yeah.
totally different topic. And this made sense for something earlier, which is I've been thinking a lot about competitive sports and kids in competitive sports. And you know this about me. I was a competitive figure skater growing up. And I mean, I was like one of those kids that didn't even go to a full day of school because I was in training. And I am really I really don't like that decision that my parents made. I really regret it. I think it was a bad use of my childhood. I wish I had a normal childhood. And I have a lot of physical injuries that continue to pain me to this day because of like the level of competitive sports I did. And a lot of my friends, because I'm 41, so like I'm having friends now that are their kids are hitting that stage where they're having to decide, am I going to go all in on competitive sports? And it's really interesting for me to be now in this seat. And, like I haven't talked a lot because I'm very thankful for my parents. You know what I mean? Like my parents like sacrificed immensely all of their money, all of their time, right, to like try to give me all of the opportunities. But it's so interesting now. I was talking to a bunch of friends over the weekend about this, and to be like, unless your kid is going to go to the Olympics, you know what I mean? Like, unless your kid really has the chance of going professional or really succeeding, and they really want to do it, and you have to actually know that your kid really wants to do it and isn't just trying to please you. To me, I don't know. I'm like really worried about all of these kids right now.
It's very concerning. My kids are still so young that, like, we haven't really gotten into that yet. But there's so many people I know who have kids in, like, not only 3 sports, but their whole weekends are sports, 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 and they're on these travel teams, and that we don't even another time we should get into, like, a private equity in youth sports because
Oh
it's
yeah.
been insane the companies that have come in and are running these, like, travel programs, and it's
Right.
insanely
And
expensive. So there's this whole privilege conversation that we need to be having too. And it's just like, and then, yeah, the mental health of the kids. And is that too much? And are they old enough to understand, even if they're saying, no, I want to do it, I want to do it? Are they really old enough to advocate for themselves?
I just think about also, for little girls, you know, I have I think I came out of it pretty okay, all things considered, but I have a lot of friends who didn't. I mean, being in ballet, I was doing 10 hours of ballet a week on top of my figure skating, and the amount of pressure to have my body look a certain way, and you're going through puberty and it becomes a huge problem. And whether it's skating or gymnastics or dance or whatever, all of these things, and I just feel like, to what end? To what end was I
I
on a
know.
diet at age 11?
I know. Well, and that would happen like with anything, I think, like plus sides to sports. I think like
Yep,
the team atmosphere,
yep,
having a really good coach who really inspires you, like being part of a team, just even like for myself, Charlie's 5, it's really nice to see him respect his coach, who is a woman, like his
Yeah.
baseball coach,
Well, and
and
not
like
being on screens and
show up
moving
for
your
the
body.
team and know that he needs to show up even if he doesn't want to because we
Yeah.
like agreed to do something, and then
Mhm.
he always has fun and it's teamwork. So there's all these great things with sports, but of course, as with anything here in America, we have just taken all the good things and made it into a huge competitive capitalist freaking grift.
Right. Right, right. And I think I started thinking about this when we were at the top talking about, like, being competitive, and that's what got me thinking about it in my brain because I also think that, like, there are some people who really thrive off of competition,
Mhm.
and, like, for those kids, it's good for them to have an outlet and good for them to be able to see if you put in this amount of work, you can achieve that in these competitions. You know what I mean? They people like, I mean, we know other adults who are still runners. I'll never get it. But, you know what I mean? They thrive off of that, and they
Mhm.
need it. They're like dogs, you know what I mean? Some of my friends, I'm like, "You're like a dog that needs to be run every day, or else you get
Yeah.
spilkies."
And I mean, sports at the very base level too, depending on what
Yeah.
it is, like it is wonderful and necessary to move your body and learn to
Mm,
do something,
right.
learn to do that in a way that you love. And that's why I think youth sports are so important for kids to try out different things and realize like what they like. Charlie's been incredibly obsessed with basketball lately. And
Right, wasn't there a video with the sports person you
oh my
posted?
gosh, yes.
Can you
So
explain that? Who's the sports person?
Giannis Antetokounmpo
Uh-huh.
is, like, one of the most famous basketball players right now.
Okay.
I'm not just saying that 'cause
What
I'm
team?
biased, saying the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
He actually has okay, if anybody's watching this and you have kids maybe a little bit older than Charlie, because he was, like, getting a there's an amazing the Giannis documentary on Amazon Prime is so good because he is like an immigrant. His family came from Greece. They had very little money, but he was playing basketball over there and actually got scouted. He came over to Milwaukee, was sending money back to his family. He's just so humble, grounded, down to earth, but an absolute monster. Like he's s- literally just one of the best basketball players of all time. And Charlie has like fallen in love with him, and so he made this adorable video like to Giannis, because what Charlie doesn't know is that, like, there are crazy trade conversations going on right now, and Giannis, like, loves Milwaukee. He had his whole like, he got married here, he had kids here, built his whole family here. He's been wonderful to Milwaukee, but also in sports,
Yeah.
there's, like, money conversations and all this, and a
Mhm.
lot of the team has rotated, so it's not, like, his people anymore, and I understand why he would maybe wanna move on, but, yeah, so I'm, like, checking Twitter and the news constantly. Uh, every day, it's like things there's just rumors of, like, the trades, and he might go to Boston or Miami, so Charlie doesn't know that, but he's in love with Giannis now, who I'm so glad is, like, a wonderful role model in addition to being an amazing athlete, and Charlie's just gonna be heartbroken if he does leave, but that's the plus side about sports too, like, having these heroes that kids look up to who actually are upstanding community members as well. And
Yeah, well,
Giannis
and
did
even if he
reply
does
to
leave,
Charlie's
that
story, which made his life.
right. And even if he does leave, like, that's a good lesson in emotional resilience, you know what I
Yep.
mean? And,
You
like, you'll
can't
be
always get
okay.
your way.
You can't, and you'll be okay. That video of Charlie, I will say, he's, like, such a big boy. Even I just saw him
Mhm.
a couple months ago.
I
I'm
know.
like,
Well,
"Oh my
he
god."
graduated kindergarten now, so he's
Ugh.
shaving his face. And,
I mean, no, but he looks like he's going on 12.
I know.
I know, it's
I know.
wild.
It happens so fast. He's growing up and
He
god
is.
damn all those people who are like, "It goes so fast. Enjoy every minute." When you have a newborn that won't shut the hell up, you're like, "Shut up." But now I'm like, "Oh shit, they were right."
Isn't that the thing about advice, right? Like, it's coming from a good place because people have that experience, but at the time, you
Mhm.
really don't wanna hear it.
Mhm.
See also dating advice.
Why? What kind of
Lot
dating advice would you get?
Oh, people always give me dating advice. My favorite piece of dating advice that people give is, "Have you tried the apps?" It's like, I don't have you breathed air? You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
like,
what
yeah,
is
it's 2026, Cheryl. What do you think?
like, I know you've been married for 20 years, so that seems like an idea to you, but, you just have to put yourself out there. It's like, no fucking shit. Um, so I did I think last Friday, I did dating advice questions, and
Oh,
on my Instagram, And, I've put in the hours and the minds. I feel like I have standing to have advice on these things. And I have like a few, but also one of my statements is I think if you haven't dated in the past 3 years, you actually don't get to have comments on dating because things have really changed. Things are very, very different now than they used to be.
Yes. Well, I feel that way about political consultants too. I'm like, okay, but so were people asking you for advice?
Yeah, because on Fridays I put up, people can ask me questions.
Fun. Yeah.
Right. And my fun is in the eye of the
I'm
beholder.
fun on Fridays, okay? On Fridays, we force ourselves to have fun.
And the fun is always like me just being myself and not changing at all.
Yeah, it's fun
Um,
though.
uh,
So what were some
and
of the questions you got that that you feel like maybe you changed somebody's life with an answer, Delilah?
Delilah. Is Delilah still kicking? Yeah, I guess
I don't
so, right?
know. I'll Google it while you tell me.
Thank you. Um, well, I think that frankly, the thing that people want to like that actually helps people is to know that there is no secret sauce, right? And that like
Mhm.
and this is part of the problem, which is everyone is selling something on the internet. And so everyone is telling you like they have the secret sauce for how to do something and there really isn't a secret sauce to dating. I think that maybe there's some tips. Um, but one of the things that people suggest a lot is like doing activities and meeting people in the outside world, which I think it's actually a very hard piece of advice because like for example, a lot of people would tell me, there's like a board game store down the street from my house and they'd be like, go to the board game store and go to the event. And I was like, well, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I also don't want to join CrossFit. Like those things make me miserable. I don't want to have to endure that.
Yeah.
um,
I
and
will
like,
say I had a quick stint with a Dungeons and Dragons guy and he was very intelligent and funny. I'm just going to say that.
nothing against them, but like I have no interest.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's not for me.
Mhm.
I'm also like very bossy and like
Yeah.
I need personally another type A. Like I can't be with a type B. I'm
Mhm.
too bossy. I need someone because I don't like bossing people around. This is a very complicated nuance for me.
But you'll
I
do
need
it if you
someone.
have to.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't be with someone who lets me steamroll them. It doesn't work. So I think that like it is meeting people in real life is not the same as it was 20 years ago. It's just not, and it's hard to articulate why that is. I think that there's increasingly events being set up, especially for people in their 20s who are younger, for the purposes of meeting a mate, and those seem really great. Like in DC, it's really popular to do like kickball leagues and stuff. For the purposes of meeting people to date, and that is really fun. But if you're just like going to an event, you know what I mean? People are not, it's not really the culture anymore. Um, so I
Hmm.
think that like sort of letting people off of the hook for saying like, actually, like it is the apps and like you just have to put hours in the mines. You know what I mean? And I will say the other change that has happened is that people don't set up their friends really with much regularity at all anymore, and there's sort of an unwillingness to do so. And I think that is because of we talked about this before, sort of like the social friction is no longer accepted. So if you
Mm.
set two people up and it doesn't work out, that social friction is too hard for the way community is set up right now. And so people are unwilling to do it. And they're also like, I don't really know these people. You know what I mean? You feel they're like, we know enough now to know that we don't really know people and we don't live in these closed communities, so you don't know their families and blah, blah, blah. And so they're like, I'm unwilling to really vouch for people. In the same way, I do think 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot more willingness to set people up than there is now.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like everybody was trying to get set up or getting married or whatever in the same-ish time period of their lives, whereas now it's kind of like all over the place based on like if you really prioritized career and like weren't, or like a lot of people are getting divorced now. But like if you're in your late 30s or even 40s and whether or not you've always been single or you were divorced and you're trying to find somebody, it's like th- there are people, but you have to really like figure it out. It's just a lot harder. There's almost like this second life wave of dating for I mean, when you have our stats are 50% of people here are getting divorced,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, the timing of it all has to work too, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that also relationships have changed. A lot of people they're looking for different things in relationships, and that is better, right? In a lot of ways that people can find these different types of relationships, but it also means you have to like find someone who's looking for what you're looking for. And
Mhm.
that is harder, right? Like I always felt that half the people on the dating apps were ethically non-monogamous, and like that's not for me. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there are people still looking for actual love and relationships and not just that, and, like, having to suss that all out, and then, if you add on top of it, if you're somebody who, like, one of your factors you're looking for is somebody who politically aligns with you, then it's
Mm.
a whole 'nother level of, like, you're just filtering down, down, down to then there's, like, nobody it's like, "Oop, no results," you know?
I know. I someone was making fun of me this weekend, and they were like, "You know, Emily, you're looking for a needle in a haystack," and I was like, sorry, I'm looking for true love.
Mhm.
Sorry, I read Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and you know what I
And
mean? I was
sorry,
like,
like, I have my own
sorry,
self-confidence and think I'm amazing and, like, expect to find somebody who's also
yeah,
amazing.
you know what I mean? And like, I'm so weird with my obsession with true love and finding my one Prince Charming in this life. I'm a bitch who loves a Disney story, you know?
Yeah, and I think the problem is everybody in their 20s is looking for that, but that it's almost like it doesn't exist in your 20s, but, like, it could exist now, like, in your 30s or 40s.
Well, I think people meet them. I think it depends. I think some people, they do meet that person when they're in their 20s. How old were you
Yeah.
when you met Ryan?
I mean, I guess I was in my very late 20s,
Yeah.
and he's, older.
Really?
I know he doesn't look it because I
He's
keep
kept
looking
his
older and
hair.
he, like, looks young. A fucker. Um, he uses rock, that's all he uses if anybody cares.
I do think
I
it's
just feel
hard
like I
when you
was
like
looking for something else in my 20s than I would want now, you know what I mean?
100%. I think it's totally very different, and it's hard, you don't know yourself when you're 20 because you haven't lived long enough to know yourself, and I think some people are lucky, they find their person and they're able to grow together.
Grow together, yeah. Some people
Right.
grow together and some grow apart.
Right. And sometimes we make bad choices, myself included. You know what I mean? And that's fine. And thank God we can get out of them because Republicans haven't overturned no fault divorce yet. I have seen an increasing amount of like Twitter bot, like those faceless conservative Twitter accounts that are probably run by some Elon Musk or Russia or Iran. I've seen like a couple trying to go after no fault divorce, and I'm like, ugh, I'm not. I'm ready for the war about IVF. I'm not ready for the war about no fault divorce. To be honest, I don't know if I can. I think that one actually might be a bridge too far for me, and I won't be able to take it emotionally.
Nor should you. Nor should any of us. Like, that is a 5 alarm fire if we cannot get out of
Oh,
our marriages. And,
I
like,
know.
respect to my husband, love my marriage, but I need to know that I can get the hell out if I need to.
I mean, that's, there's this 19-year-old trad wife going viral on TikTok right now. Have you seen her? Where she's like, I'm exactly where I want to be. I have no education and no job, and I don't ever want one, and da 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 da. And it's the discourse, the same discourse as always, and like a necessary discourse, but one nonetheless that like I'm sort of sick of participating in. However, Jessica Valenti responded, being like, "Why don't we ever hear from the 47-year-old trad wives? You know,
Mm,
where's that propaganda?" And number one, we're never going to hear from them because a big part of the propaganda is the aesthetics of it all.
mhm.
And that's a huge component of it. But of course, the other reason in the implication of her statement is like, there's not a lot of them that are still very happy,
They're tied
you
up in the basement.
know. But and like, of course there are some that are still like, of course it works out for some women. Um, but
If it's a good man, a good, kind, respectful man, you know what I
right,
mean? It's just like, there's nothing wrong with staying home.
who stays alive, who doesn't die?
There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay home and raise your kids and have more of that homestead life. The problem comes in when you find yourself in a situation where you are married to somebody who is not That's just not just that you're not in love, but, like, it's not a good situation, and then you have no economic path to leave.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, I think that if you're not in love, you should still be able to get divorced, but which you're not saying the opposite, but also, yes, I mean, being stuck in a situation where you are being abused psychologically, emotionally, physically, and you cannot escape because you cannot afford to is such a bad place to be. Also, he can leave you. Also, he can die. You know what I mean? Like, these are all things that could happen, and maybe, like, this particular young
And
woman
do you
just
even
see.
know if you're the beneficiary on the life insurance or how much a life insurance policy it's just like
And the money doesn't last forever. You know what I mean? Like, child support ends when those kids turn whatever, 18, 21, whatever you've litigated.
Mhm,
And how are you going to keep paying for yourself then? Alimony isn't a secure thing. Also, he could stop earning money,
mhm.
you know? And you still got to put food on the table and a roof over your head and take care of those kids. And so I just think that there's always pluses and minuses to everything, and it's about having the opportunity and the options. And I would love a world in which it was totally normal for people to be able to take a couple years off and then go back to work, right? And we had more flexibility in that. And when I offer career advice, I talk a lot. I think whenever it comes up, there's always someone who wants to ask about that. And my comment is always like, as long as you're able to maintain your network, I
Mhm,
think it's, like, these days much more acceptable to take a couple years off, but
mhm.
it is. I mean, as some like, I've been out of litigation now for 2 years, and I can say, like, I've really lost my network in litigation. It would be hard now for me to go back to it. I
Mm.
could do it, but it would take a lot of work. So I think I have, like, a empathetic understanding of how challenging it is to maintain a network in a career when you're not participating in it.
This is why I think that all women should build up their personal brand no matter what they do, and, like, every woman I've ever met has at least something to offer that's really, like, smart and strategic, and even if you don't know, like, what you would be a consultant for, I guarantee everybody has, like, talents and things like that that could do well. So I think, like, even if and this is for people who are in the corporate world and maybe wanna leave and stay home with their kids for a few years, I do think it's good to, like, spend 5% of your time, 10% of your time still having almost that as a hobby, like you say, going to some networking breakfasts, like, even make yourself a website and say, like, you're a consultant for whatever type of work you left, and maybe take on a small project every now and then if you feel like you have the capacity for it, but you don't even need to. But almost, like, continue to build up yourself as a brand no matter what you're doing, because then I think it would be a lot easier to just dip right back in,
Yeah,
which
and I
we know
also.
women can do easily.
100%. And women can be like, you can juggle multiple balls at the same time. I'll say, like, I find, especially now that I'm getting older and I'm having women whose kids are turning, teenagers, and they don't have that full-time occupation, they are looking for something else. They are looking for meaning. And so it's about also setting yourself up so that when that next stage comes, you'll have something to lean into. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think that it's really interesting. It's hard to have these nuanced conversations on social media, which is why we have a 1 hour long podcast for us to have meandering, nuanced conversations. But, like, it, I think that there's a balance to say it's not that being a stay at home mom is bad, but it's just thinking about where you're going in the future and making your future self just as happy as your current self is. You know what I mean? And I
Yes.
think that those are important things to balance.
And it's hard to think long term when you're in the trenches with
Uh
young
huh.
children.
Yes.
Um, I think so it's okay to push it off for a bit, but, like, it should be something in the back of your mind of setting yourself up for the success of the future,
And like, we both know, you from personal, me from having many friends, right? Especially when you have little kids, taking 3 months off and then having that turn into 18 months, it happens so quickly. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, you really get in the trenches. Like, I have quite a few friends who originally intended to just do a couple months, and then, especially because of what's been going on with the Trump administration, like, you know,
Right, a lot of people have lost their
they've
jobs. The
lost their
job market
jobs.
right now is terrible, I'm hearing from
Terrible.
people. Absolutely
Uh-huh.
terrible.
And so it's turned into longer times, and it's just about how are you figuring out making yourself happy now, enjoying your current situation, and maximizing that, but then also planning so you can keep being happy in the future.
Mhm.
Kate, do you have
I
any
also think we
closing
need to
thoughts? Was there any?
My closing
Yeah,
thought is
I'm
that
sorry.
I think we need to flip the narrative and the shame. Like, there should be no shame in taking a break, whether you intended to take a career break or you got laid off or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
the shame is on these companies, of like not knowing how to
100%.
plan well and do all this. And like, if somebody's asking you, like, why do you have a gap in your resume? I saw this very funny woman. I had to find it. She was like hilarious. She had just come from an interview. She's like, why do you have a gap in your resume? Why do you have a gap in your roster? What's your problem? Why doesn't anybody want to work here? You know what I mean? I think we need to like, there is nothing wrong with any gaps you have in your career, women. The problem is the men in charge
Yeah,
of
and
these
I just
capitalist
want to. I'm
companies.
always like, they will fire you. You know what I mean? Like these companies will fire you in an instant, and you're just a widget to them. And so as long as you're like a widget that will help them, it's fine. That's
Mhm,
that's my feeling these days. We've become so much more transactional in these jobs, and there's got to be a benefit to that, which is as long as you're keeping up your knowledge base and your network, you can fit yourself right in.
do not allow your validation to come from your job, your boss, any of that stuff because
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. So, just like you're saying, that is the secret. As long as you know what you mean to people, then you can react accordingly and you will be a lot happier and freer.
Yeah, I think both of us have I think like you and I share a similar set of values of we get satisfaction from our career, we get
Mhm,
satisfaction from our family lives,
mhm,
and we get satisfaction from ourselves, from within ourselves. And like these
mhm,
are three pillars, and we really try to balance all of those three. And to have it all is like I think a sort of meaningless conversation that everyone is over.
mhm,
This Weasel's going up the stairs, guys.
mhm. Yeah, she's
Um
like,
so
I've been
slow.
trying to tell you guys this since the 14th century.
She's like, "Have you figured out that you can just sleep 14 hours a day?" That's the weasel Amick. But no, but you know what I mean? I think that like there isn't everyone is different, but for everyone it's some balance of those three things and you have to have a little bit. And in your different seasons you're getting a little bit of everything. But the goal is to help everyone figure out their balance of those three. And the goal isn't to like dictate to Sheryl Sandberg of 2003 dictate what your solution for my rage at Sheryl Sandberg grows. Let's not. It's fine. It's we've been doing this too long. We got to close the podcast. Don't get me started. Sheryl
Yeah, we'll
Sand.
have to talk about that another time. But the point is, you can look to other women or people you admire for some guidance. But at the end of the day, nobody has the answers that you're looking for. Nobody, because it doesn't exist.
Like, follow, subscribe.